So for today's project, we need to talk about what kinds of symmetry there are. There are 3 different types of symmetry. The first kind is called bilateral symmetry or reflectional or mirror symmetry. This is probably what you're most used to. This just means that an object can be divided in half by a line of symmetry so that one side matches the other. In radial symmetry, the objects are arranged around the midpoint, just like you can see on our starfish. In asymmetry, it means an object doesn't have symmetry at all. Radial symmetry can be found in both natural and man-made objects, like snowflakes, flowers, bicycle wheels, windmills, or clocks. Radial symmetry is like dividing something into a pizza with equal parts. So today, you're going to learn how to make your own art using radial symmetry.
So what you're going to need today is 2 regular pieces of paper, just copy paper is fine. And to get started, you are going to fold them like you would start a fortune teller. So they both need to be a square. So you can do them separately or both at the same time. But if you're doing both papers, make sure they're all the corners are even. So you're going to fold this corner over till this edge lines up to make your square. And make sure your crease is really tight. And then use your scissors very carefully to cut these straight along that straight edge, and you're going to cut this little strip off. Okay, this part is trash, you're not going to need it anymore. Then I'm going to do mine separately. So you already have your paper folded as a triangle. You're going to open it back up and you're going to fold it the other direction now. So it's going to make that big X across the middle. Okay, same thing to the other one. Open it up and then fold it the opposite direction. Your next step, now that you have the X on the paper, is going to be to make a plus sign. So you're going to fold it this way. So you're going to make like an envelope and fold it down. Make sure your corners are lined up, otherwise it's going to mess you up when we start the tracing part. Okay. So that one went this way, now we're going to turn it the other way and go across. Okay, so you can see here now, you have the X going this way and then the plus sign going this way. And you need to do the same thing on this one, so I've got 2 more folds. So now that both of my papers look the same, one of them is going to be my drawing paper for the final project. The other one is going to be like my puzzle piece. So you're going to pick any of these triangles, they're all exactly the same, and you are going to very carefully cut on the line and cut one triangle out just from one of the papers. Make sure it's as smooth as you can get it. Now, if for whatever reason you mess up on this one, you can use any of these and replace it, but otherwise you don't need this paper anymore. So this is going to be your puzzle piece. This is what you're going to draw on to make all of your design. So I would recommend using a dark color. If you have a Sharpie, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. You can use a black colored pencil, a black crayon. You can even use a pencil and just press really hard, but you just want to make sure that your marks on this paper are dark. So you're going to do a design onto your triangle, and I'm just putting this paper behind it so that my Sharpie doesn't leak through. Remember, we're not in the art room, so if you are using a marker that bleeds through the paper, make sure you protect the table or surface that you're using so your parents don't get mad at you for ruining their furniture. So I'm going to make my design on here. And for this one, I did like this kind of flowery shape in the middle, so I just did that by putting a curved line here in the corner. This time I'm going to do more of like a star shape, so I'm going to make it a triangle. And you guys can use any kind of lines that you want. So think about all the different lines that we've learned. So now that I have my puzzle piece designed, I'm going to begin tracing it. So you guys, what I would recommend is holding it up against a bright window. So you'll need this paper and this paper, and you're going to put your design behind this paper. So I would hold it like this very carefully, and then I would place it on a bright sunny window. Because I cannot record myself while using a bright sunny window, I'm bringing my light tablet in, which is going to act like my bright sunny window. So it will be the same thing. Like the light from the window, you should be able to see your design coming through the paper. So it's really important that you line up your edges very carefully with the edges, kind of like your pizza cutting here, and make sure that you really have the first one in the right spot, because otherwise your other ones won't match up. So once you have it in place, you can either use a pencil or you can use your marker, and you are going to trace over this pattern onto the big paper. Oh, and mine just moved. Okay, once you've finished your design once, this is where the reflection is going to come in. So obviously this piece isn't going to fit this section of the paper. So I'm going to have to flip it over and then trace. If you use the dark enough line, you should be able to still see the pattern on the other side. Line up your shapes and trace it again. So now that I have this corner done, I'm going to have to flip this back over, so I'm just going to keep repeating that over and over again until I have traced it 8 different times. Alright, so now that I've traced my entire pattern, I've got my symmetrical radial symmetry completed. You guys can use crayons, you can use colored pencils, you can use paint, markers, whatever you want to do to fill it in.
I use colored pencils for mine, but you guys can use any kind of supplies that you want. I hope that you have fun and enjoy doing this project.